I've spent a lot of time thinking how to simplify the approach to the circular tubular cast on, and I think what it boils down to is understanding what's going on. This is just a practice piece. I've tied two contrasting yarns together and slip knotted them onto a knitting needle, and what we're going to be doing is exactly the same as you'll do to start the blanket, but we're just demonstrating it in two colours to show what's going on. So we want green stitches. So if I come under that pink yarn and hook up a loop of green to the front, that's going to be a green knit stitch. Then all I have to do is revolve the green yarn around the needles. Then I need to swing to the other side of the pink and hook up a loop at the front, a loop at the back, a loop at the front. And if you practice this before you start the circular cast on, I think you'll find this will help you get into the swing of it much better. Loop at the back, pick one up at the front, and you can see that I was actually twisting the yarns around, one at the back, one in front of it. Now if I just take this off the needle, we can see what we've created. There's a front knit, this one's going to be a back purl, that's going to be a front knit, and in fact all we've done is undulated the working yarn on either side of a solid strand. In the blanket, this strand is going to be gathered up and made snug, and you're going to wind up with knits and purl stitches on either side of it. The knits will form the near side of the blanket and the purls will form the far side of the blanket. Now let's take a look at how we set up the gathering circle. This is our starting position. Here's the tail to the right, and underneath the yarn runs around in a circle and goes back towards the ball. Now I have found people find it easier if we put a slip knot in the tail and pop that onto the knitting needle. This isn't a stitch, it's just a stabilizing device. Then this piece of yarn between the slip knot and my left thumb, that's the same as the piece of pink yarn which we made the stitches around before. And if it helps you, you can make that circle very big, and then you don't even have to think about there being a circle there. All we have to do is hold that piece of yarn to the back, and then I'll come over my straight yarn, this one I'm going to keep tight, and knit up a stitch. Then I rotate the yarn to make the purl. Then I come over this straight yarn and knit up a stitch. Make a purl. Over the straight yarn, knit up a stitch. Over the straight yarn, knit up a stitch. And keep doing that until we've got 16 stitches, not counting the slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll keep doing that until I have 16. The first time you do it, you'll probably be very fierce and tight. So you may have to do this a couple of times because you've got to be able to move this tail yarn through those stitches when we come to gather this up. So keep on doing that until you have 16 stitches. Another way to think of this is knit up a loop in front of the straight yarn, knit up a loop behind the straight yarn. The direction of rotation around the needle is the normal anti-clockwise around the needle tip. If you get it the other way around the needle, it just means that stitch will be mounted strangely when you come to work it on round 1. Not really a problem, can all easily be sorted out. So let's just check the number. That's the slip knot. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So my last stitch is very wobbly, and as you see it just fell off. So we'll put it back. Make sure we use the working yarn and not the circle to put it back. Here's our circle. I made it nice and long so it didn't get in our way. Now I'm going to slide the slip knot off the opposite end of the needle. And notice I'm using my fingers to stabilize everything on the needle. Now I need to pull this tail. And it's sliding through nicely. The first couple of times you do it, this probably will not slide quite as nicely. So there are our 16 stitches, including the wobbly one on the end, and our circle is quite considerably tightened up. Now we're going to fold this into the round and work our first few stitches. This is a little bit like I-cord in many ways, the fact that we need to take this piece of yarn back to stitch 1. And what we can do is slip those stitches to the tip of the needle, and before you embark on this you'll want to have your full set of needles available and also your second yarn. And we'll just slip the first 8 stitches onto this needle. So this is stitch 1, 2, 3. We'll keep going till we've slipped 8 of them onto that first needle. And now this will just want to fold around into a circle. So here is stitch 16, all very wobbly. And I definitely suggest doing this with lightweight needles and practice it a few times on some heavier yarn to get the hang of it. Then we slip the stitch we want to work near the needle tip, and we make sure the yarn from stitch 16 comes round, and we're going to knit that first stitch. So right now our final stitch 16 is safe, and then if we bring that yarn forward we can introduce our second colour, and we'll bring the second colour forward to the purl position, and I'll purl this one. I'll take them both back. Now you don't have to go straight into two-handed knitting. At this point you'll probably want to use just one hand and manipulate the stitches. And we'll knit this stitch and we'll swing both yarns forward, ready to purl the 4th stitch. Now we can start making this into a regular round of knitting. We've got 4 stitches on this needle, and we can bring in a new needle to work the remaining 4. And this round is all colour A at the front, colour B at the back, so we don't even have to think about patterning on this round. Your circle in the middle will open up somewhat, but that doesn't matter because we've got that adjustable cord. Now if this stitch was on the needle the other way round, if you'd looped the yarn the opposite way, we just turn it so that it becomes a normally mounted stitch when we work it, and we don't cause it to twist. So I've got 4 and 4. If you wish you can put the remaining 8 stitches all on one needle, or you can introduce the full set of needles